time, let's run through our events. So this one obviously does have a longer time. If you're doing your battle pass, you should be up to 85,000 points if you've been keeping up. We do have our Recruit Soran event, the SLB, again, only through the weekend, giving out a decent amount of shards, standard spend materials, yada yada. The SMS over here is the one that's running now basically through the end of the arc. You've got 15 days left in the arc. You've got 14 days left on the SMS. And thankfully, they did make sure to put this in here, that there is a little bit of a disclaimer that if you finish tier 1, you unlock tier 2, which has more shards and a decrease in milestones. That should help you gain even more officer shards. So if you, at whatever point in time you finish this, and again, disclaimer, I would make sure, like if I'm going to get, I need 31.5 million, 31.6 million points here. I'm going to, as soon as I get that 31.6 million points, I'm going to claim my rewards here to probably need that to trigger the second event. I'm not just going to spend 40 million points worth of materials, doing upgrades and then be like, oh no, where did I get my extra event? Why didn't it come in yet? Because chances are, until I actually claim the rewards, the second event won't start. And I'll have wasted 8 million points, worth of materials unnecessarily. Tier 2 has a higher top end milestone though. Darth, you've already gotten to tier 2? Or are they on the website? I wonder if they're on the website. Let's go look at events. Let's see what we can find for Recruit Soran. Hey, they're all on the website. So let's pull these over and compare them for everybody. So everybody can all see it. So here's the tier 1 event. And we'll do my level range for, simplicity. This is what we were just looking at. So I can get 50 total officer shards, and I'm spending 31.6 million in currency, which again is a slight increase over previous months. This first milestone used to be like 2.8, 2.9 million. Now it's up over 3 million consistently. We're getting over 31 million for the final milestone. So definitely seeing an uptick, continued inflation in costs. If I move on to Series 2, though, or Tier 2, well, I just went from 3 million to 6 million. Now the rewards have doubled. Actually, I should do this so I can pull them side by side. Let's open them all up. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. We'll put them side by side, right next to each other. All right, so that's what we're talking about here. So basically, the milestones double, and then you get a 5% reduction. But you're also getting way more officer shards. So the first go through, you're getting 50 officer shards, which is a half unlock for 31 million points. The second go round, well, you could still spend that 30 million points you spent on the first one, and that will get you the other half. That's 40, 50. And if you just stop there, well, then you've done two 30 million upgrades, actually slightly less. You've done a 31 and a 30. You've gotten your 50 officer shards from each. So if you were following what normally is that pattern and finished 30 million and 30 million, you'd have slightly saved 1.6 million points, at least in my case. And you'd still have gotten the 100 officer shards that you would normally get by doing two weekend SMSs and have your officer unlock. If you wanted to push further, you now have the opportunity here to go for a fourth milestone at 60 million points to get another 50 officer shards, getting you towards a tier up. And finishing up this then kicks you over here to a third option. Again, point values have doubled and then been reduced. And there is an additional 200 shards waiting for you here. And again, the same, if there was a third weekend auction, so you got to here, you spent 30 million, got to here, you spent 30 million, got to here, you spent 30 million, got to here. 3 weekends, 3 SMSs, all at the same price point, all getting you, 50, 50, and then another 50 shards. So nothing here in the grand scheme of things has changed the overall recruiting. The values look drastically increased, of course, because these numbers are way bigger. And most people may not make it to these milestones. Totally reasonable. But this is actually working in the player's favor because, again, there's more opportunity. And this event isn't just running over the course of a 48-hour weekend. It's running for 15 days throughout the remainder of the event. So if you want to spend materials during the week now and do upgrades and do your 12-hour or your 24-hour events, it's going to count for this too. So I wish it was a better officer. Soran's not exactly the most desirable officer with his abilities, but the basic fundamentals of the mechanic are actually pretty good. You have to finish one to see the next one? Yes, Kav. The second one will not launch until the first one is completed, and as I stated a few minutes ago, we've seen this event before with Janeway a year and a half ago. Make sure you claim the rewards from finishing your first one to make sure the second one launches. Because if you just spend willy-nilly thinking, I got to just keep spending resources, just keep doing upgrades, there's a chance when you finish this event, the next one won't start until you actually claim the rewards. Hi, DJ. No, I have not gotten to Tier 3 yet. I'm just getting started. And I think I'm going to go nowhere near any of these milestones, given how high they are. But now, Darth, when you finished yours, did it roll over automatically? Do you remember? Did you notice? Or did you have to actually claim the rewards from finishing the first one to get the second one to start? It did not roll over automatically. I wouldn't expect it to because of the way that their programming and triggers and stuff work. Yeah, I agree. I'm with you, Denver. I'm with you, DJ, on that one. That Soran is not a very good and useful officer, but hopefully the mechanic persists and they bring this back for future runs, because being able to do this throughout the 2-week period is awesome. Having the opportunity to get more shards than you normally would if you wanted to do bigger upgrades is pretty darn good too. Soran, not that great, but Beamer says restart your game after finishing to make sure. Okay. Darth overshot by about 30,000, and you did not have those 30,000 points applied to the second event. Thank you for confirming. It's what we suspected. It's what we saw with Janeway. It's what a lot of people were pissed about during that Janeway debacle. Janeway, we're not going to call it a gate. It's not a gate. But hopefully this at least illustrates the potential that's there and how it, even though it looks skewed and these milestones look so much higher, the end results, the end points, the 50 shard that you would normally have available to you through one of these is a little bit higher. And even if you're looking here, right, my first milestone, 3.16, that's not available at the higher level ones. I get that. But the second milestone would cost me 7.9 million points, and I would get 11 shards for that. Well, over here, I'm spending 6 million and getting 10 shards. So this first milestone here is actually more cost effective than these milestones. You know, 15.8 million gets me 14 more shards. 15 million gets me 15 more shards. So I'm spending a million, almost a million less, and getting an extra shard. Like, this math is pretty beneficial to the players. So hopefully we see this mechanic continue. And again, it just, yeah. Soran, not a great officer. Not a great officer in terms of what he does in PvP and all that fun stuff. Kind of a second tier PvP crew is what it feels like with these new guys, but that's just where I'm at. Hi Rev, you're here too. Look at this. Everybody's stopping by to say hi. I like it. All right. Beamer saying don't overshoot hugely. Exactly. That's what we've been warning people about for about a week now. Oh god, that was terrible. That was absolutely terrible. So someone asked us to test this crew. For those of you just joining us, someone asked us about testing this crew to take advantage of the ability and knock all the shields down and hopefully win the fight faster and whatnot. Didn't really seem to be the case. The fight actually took a little longer than they had previously been taking, and I took way more damage in this particular fight. So even though their shield mitigation is pretty low, and I'm putting way more damage through to the hull, not a fan at all of this particular crew. So we're not even going to bother trying to kill anything else, because I'm probably just going to die. So TJ feels like it's a double-edged sword. I'm afraid they'll say, well, this wasn't successful, but it's because of the officer, not the mechanic. And hopefully you guys who are in the room can pitch to them, run it again next month with a better officer, and let's see how it works out. Because, you know, they love to collect their data before making big changes. 1 month doesn't really give you a whole lot to go on. There's too many variables. How do you isolate which one it is? So run the same event next month with a better officer. They're not going to do that because next month's officer is going to be the third piece of this little trifecta set here, where it's, you know, Q did this against explorers and he's doing this on burning, and then we'll get a third officer who's going to do the opposite with against interceptors, right? So realistically, they'd have to bring it back in February with an officer people might actually be interested in to actually see if it's going to be a good mechanic people want to continue. Unless enough people just say, hey, we like the mechanic, but the officer sucks, so we didn't participate. Hopefully that'll be the case.